About a year ago, I found myself roaming around Europe's infamous cities. I was amazed by the drastic differences between continents. Life seemed way more peaceful across the Atlantic. We traveled as a big group across several countries for a month. I was able to make some friends and had tons of conversations with many different people from around the globe. I specifically remembered this one conversation. It was with two Mexican brothers. They were about 13 and 25 and very talkative. I remember they wanted to learn more about my country, Guatemala, though their method was pretty peculiar. Does Guatemala have a subway system? They asked. No, we don't, I replied. They started to giggle. Well, Mexico has one. Has Guatemala at least gone to the World Cup? Again, not yet. More giggling. Well, Mexico goes practically every time. Does Guatemala have a national stadium like Estadio Azteca? Doroteo Guamuch isn't as big as Estadio Azteca, but it is quite beautiful. More and more giggling. I started to get annoyed, but they seemed to continue. Does Guatemala have trees? Does Guatemala have drinkable water? Does Guatemala have civilized citizens? Every time they giggled more and more. Is this truly how other people perceive Guatemala? Like a primitive country that still hasn't found out about fire? Something inside of me broke. I was struck by a feeling that no other Chapin should ever feel. I felt ashamed of my country, Guatemala. But why had Guatemala created such an image for the rest of the world? This shouldn't be the case at all. Guatemala has a lot of virtues and characteristics that should make it stand out in all of America, right? Sadly, Guatemala has a lot of social, economic, educational, healthcare, administrative, among many other issues that prevent it from achieving the splendor that it is meant for. Guatemala has been known for several years of small, if any, social and economic development, seen across all of its public department areas, and it hurts every Guatemalan to talk about this harsh reality. But sometimes it needs to be digested and treated. In fact, acknowledging that change needs to occur is the hardest reality to accept. And I personally believe that Guatemala knows there is a problem. We're simply stuck between understanding it and knowing how to actually solve it. Not only that, Guatemala is lost within a hole of seemingly never-ending issues, without any gold-brick roads to lead the country into its true glory. And this is because working without a path is tricky. That's why we need to start to open our eyes to see what others have done. For this exact reason, let's go back 50 years to analyze a country's story. A country's story many of you might already know about. Singapore truly represents a rags to riches story, becoming one of the 4 Asian dragons despite just being a small fishing village. After being forced out of the Federation of Malaysia in 1965, Lee Kuan Yew, Singapore's prime minister at the time, shared his fears towards Singapore's sole ability to survive. This sparks the question, how have they done it? What did they do to grow so much in just 50 years? And what inhibits Guatemala from following their same exact path? Singapore, as a matter of fact, as shared by Professor John S. Tico, a PhD holder in political science, took 5 main steps in order to transform from a third world country to a first world class country in a matter of decades. These 5 secrets might be more valuable than gold, you might say, and they might even seem simple at first. But the truth is that they are hard to accomplish without a strong leader in the country. These 5 secrets that Professor John S. Tico found are: number 1, the pragmatic leadership of late Lee Kuan Yew and his successors. Number 2, an effective public bureaucracy. Number 3, effective control of corruption. Number 4, reliance on the best and brightest citizens through education and competitive compensation. And number 5, learning from other countries. In the early stages of Singapore's action plan, the Winsemius team, led by Dutch economist Albert Winsemius, suggested Lee Kuan Yew that in order to boost the country's economy, one must first focus on eradicating the communist ideologies that didn't focus on economic growth and replacing them with strong capitalistic forces and foreign investment attraction. At the time, Lee Kuan Yew, desperate to strengthen Singapore's economy, decided to follow the Winsemius team's advice and focused on attracting foreign investment into the country from the US, Europe, and Japan. A few years later, after Winsemius' death in 1996, Lee Kuan Yew publicly shared that Singapore's economic development was all due to Albert Winsemius. The point that I'm getting here to is that Guatemala should truly replicate foreign investments impacting Singapore here in Guatemala. Pranav Sen, a PhD holder in economics, also adds that foreign direct investment, also known as FDI, is the solution to payment, financial, and any other economic problem in the developing countries. FDI is when individuals, businesses, or even governments from one country decide to invest their money directly into another country's economy. This investment typically involves buying a significant stake in local businesses, setting up new subsidiaries, or even acquiring property and assets. It's like music to my ears, isn't it? Guatemala is able to develop and stabilize its economy just by focusing on FDI. Because that's the truth. That's how it works. That's what it's meant for. And Guatemala even shares a lot of common characteristics with what Singapore used to be: agriculture, fishing, unstable economy, a country unable to maintain itself. But let's bring hope to this idea, shall we? Guatemala is more advanced than what Singapore used to be. We have an even stronger economy, and we have the human capital at our disposal. We aren't as bad as others might say. In fact, we are heading in the right direction. We just need one final push. But flipping the tortilla around, have you ever stopped sometime and thought about how blessed of a country we truly are? Guatemala truly is a country born with privileges and ideal conditions for life. The first of these, what I call natural blessings, is their people. In order to eradicate all of these forces acting against our country, we need to join forces and work in one congruent manner. Because this is something that Guatemala does very well at: our people. Have you ever gone out to work, do groceries, or simply walked around the city and paid close attention to the average Guatemalan citizen? Besides drivers during peak traffic hours, Chapines have a huge heart. We are always willing to help, always willing to work hard, and most importantly, always willing to make others smile. These aren't just my personal perceptions and senses. It has been proven that Chapines are one of the most hardworking, humble, and happiest populations at a global scale. This is a crucial factor that will play a role in our country's development if used in the correct manner. This is all known as human capital, the knowledge, skills, abilities, and experience possessed by individuals in a workforce or population. People's education, training, health, and many other personal attributes contribute to their ability to be productive and generate economic value. By focusing on strengthening and sharpening the skills of the Guatemalan population, more people will shift towards more stable jobs, eventually increasing Guatemala's economy. And this is another step that Singapore realized and took in order to reach success. They took advantage of bright individuals and fomented their skills and knowledge even more by opening more opportunities for them. It is a cycle that benefits the country as a whole at the end of the day. Singapore practically made a long-term investment on themselves towards brightening up their future through education and technology. But why hasn't Guatemala worked in this before? There are severe problems in the education sector, yet nobody has dedicated enough time and effort into fixing them. We need to get clear the idea that without a solid education system, we aren't going anywhere. Just like Singapore did, we need to polish our skills and take advantage of our hardworking, charismatic people to use as human capital. And Guatemala truly has the upper hand here because of all its talented individuals here in this country. Think Ecofiltro, Duolingo, Incaparina, Captcha and Recaptcha, Mr. Fuego, among many other inventions that were born here. We have the people at our reach at any time that we want. Guatemala truly is full of geniuses everywhere. If only they had the adequate education and tools at their disposal, they would work wonders for their country. By focusing on improving education and motivating bright individuals, Guatemala will also see improvements. We need to leave our differences aside, join forces, and work together. Let's take advantage of our unique skills and abilities to give back to our country. Because only this way will we ever see progress. Moving on, another area where I have found that Guatemala is naturally blessed in is their land. I'm talking practically every square meter on Guatemalan territory is fertile and capable of growing crops. We also have an ideal climate that contributes to the variety of altitudes and landscapes and bearing different crops that can be grown at varying different temperatures. The same exact reason why coffee is one of Guatemala's many icons. Studies have found that the fertile soil in this country is practically perfect. Anything and everything can be grown anywhere in this country. Think corn for sunny and hot weather, while coffee for cold and chilly weather. Coffee and corn, they have been cultivated here in this country for centuries now. Thousands, if not millions of tortillas are eaten by Chapines all over the country every single day. And we cannot forget coffee either, one of Guatemala's many staples. Guatemalan coffee has made a name for itself at a global level, making Guatemala one of the tastiest, most flavorful coffee producers in the entire world. Guatemala, for centuries now, has worked on its agricultural sector to the point where it is one of the biggest industries in the country, employing 31.3% of the working population as of 2022. This is quite huge. Think about it. 1/3 of the country's population is dedicating their time and effort towards the agricultural sector. Yet, they are only producing 9.4% of the country's GDP. And this is something that is seen across all developing countries in the entire world. We shouldn't be scared nor ashamed about this. But despite this scene, there is still a lot of area to improve more on, specifically exporting goods. An even stronger focus and emphasis must be placed on exporting goods because we are naturally good at this. It can be seen with coffee, but it can also expand to any other product across the entire world, at least within the Americas, because of the central positioning that we hold. This leads me to my final idea. Have you also noticed how blessed we are with our position? This contributes to the variety of altitudes, landscapes, and temperatures that Guatemala is home to, all due to the position that we hold on planet Earth. We are a central country in the continent. Fun fact, did you know that Cuilapa, a town in Guatemala, is literally the middle point in all of America? This brings tons of territorial power we aren't taking enough advantage of. We are situated in the heart of the Americas, just a few hours flight from any country in the world. We have access to different bodies of water, like over 100 lakes and lagoons, over 18 rivers. We have the Pacific Ocean, the Caribbean Sea. We have direct flights to many of the US's major cities. In other words, if you haven't get it, we are a geographically competitive nation. With the adequate tools and management, Guatemala could, and hear to me, Guatemala will someday take advantage of the geographical and competitive territorial powers that it holds. Everything just boils down to one thing, to make a change. Pero al final del día, at the end of the day, we can never forget how much of a beautiful country we are. Guatemala truly is a country born with many privileges and conditions I have already mentioned. It is such an amazing place to live. It has so many nice places and secrets to visit. My parents were born here. My grandparents were also born here. I was born here and have lived here my entire life now, and I do not regret a single second of it. But as much as I love my country, Guatemala, it is inevitable to recognize that a change must occur sometime. I would not like to see Guatemala keep this pace in the future. And personally, if you ask me, I do not envision it this way. Because Guatemala will recognize the sense of unity that we need. We depend on each other in order to grow. All Guatemala has is their people. Take a look around for me and see all the people here. All the people in your family. All the people in your neighborhood. All the people in your city. All the people in this country. All of these people, each and every one of them is willing to dedicate their time and put extra effort into making Guatemala the new Guatemala we all want and deserve. We need to join forces, act in one congruent unison matter with clear social conscience. We need to be agents of change, be doers, not just hearers, in order to appreciate our beloved Guatemala shine within the stars. And only this way will no other Chapin ever feel ashamed of their beautiful country, Guatemala.